lovely people. Today I'll share with you a halter neck dress that I wore to church. It's a stunning button down design that's perfect for Sunday service. If you'd like to make one for yourself, please keep watching to see how I made it. I'll begin by marking a starting line, and this line is going to serve as my shoulder line. And from the edge of the paper here, I'll go in by 2.5 inches, and this will be my button allowance. Now I'm going to mark the chest line, bust line, under bust, waist and hip. The rest of the paper will be for my length, and I'll do the same thing on the other side and connect. On my shoulder line, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I'll put the same figure on the chest line and connect. For the neck width, I'll be using 2.5 inches, and for the depth, I'll use 2.5 inches, and this is for the front. For the back, I'm going to use half an inch, and I'll go ahead and connect these points together. On this line here, I'll come down by 1 inch and connect that into the neckline. I'll find the center of this line and come in by half an inch to create my arm curve. On the neckline here, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the front, and also for the back neckline, I'll come down by 1 inch. From that 1 inch mark, I'm going to connect using my French ruler into the armhole. This is optional, but from the chest line, I'll come down by 1 inch. I'll begin by marking my bust circumference divided by 4, and from that point, I'll take my 1 inch, and then I'll connect it into the neckline. On my waistline, I'm going to mark my waist circumference divided by 4, and I'll add my sewing allowance. I'll then take my nipple to nipple measurement all the way through, and I'll connect those points together. For my waist dart, I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides, and on the under bust line, I'll also mark half an inch on both sides. From the bust line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches and go up by 1.5 inches. If you're not that busty, please use 1 inch. Now on this intersect here, I'm going to come out by 1 inch, and then I'm going to take my armhole dart here, which is half an inch on both sides, and I'll connect that to this point. On the hip line, I'm going to mark my hip circumference divided by 4. I'll add 0.7 inch for ease. On the chest line, I'm going to mark my sewing allowance. On the waistline, I'll add the 1 inch that I used for dart, and on the hip line, I'll add my sewing allowance. Whatever I have on the hip, I'm just going to return it to the length and connect. Now I'm going to add a dart to the side. On the bust line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches, and from this line here, I'll go in by 3.5 inches, and I'll connect these 2 points together. On the waistline, I'll extend my dart by coming down by 4 inches, and I'll connect the points together. The next thing I'll do now is to close up this dart here and redraw my line. Now I'm going to transfer this to another paper to cut out my back pattern. I'll start off by folding my button allowance and cutting out the back neckline, and then I'll transfer this to a fresh piece of paper and trace it out. After tracing that out, I'm going to mark my waistline and my chest line because I'll need those lines to transfer my darts. Going back to the front pattern, I'm going to cut out the front neckline and then transfer the armhole darts to the side darts. And to do that, I'm going to open up the armhole darts and also the side darts, but close up the armhole darts only. Before I cut on my fabric, I'm going to write down the extra length that I need to add to my fabric. To begin the sewing process, I'll start off by sewing in my darts for the front and also the darts for the back. After closing up the darts, I'm going to take my front and back piece right sides together and I'll close up the sides. I've joined the sides as you can see. The next thing I'm going to do is bias the armhole. Now moving on to creating the collar, I'm going to start by marking a starting line. I'll measure the circumference of my neck and divide that figure by 2, and from that point I'll go up by 1 inch, and this will be for my collar stand. So from that half mark, I'm going to go inwards by half an inch and create a curve. From this point here, I'll mark down 1 inch going towards the center front. The next step is to mark the height of my collar, and I'm using 3.5 inches. At the center front here, I'm going to use the figure that I used for the collar stand and put it back up here. So I used 1 inch, so I'm going to mark 1 inch at this point here. Now I'm just going to extend this line to match up the 3.5 that I'm using for my collar height. From this line that we just drew, I'm going to go towards this direction by half an inch, and then I will connect it back down here. Using a curve ruler, I'll connect the points. And that's all for the collar, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. I've cut out the pattern on my fabric and I have 2 of each. One is the main fabric and one will serve as the lining. So the first thing I'm going to do is take these 2 and right sides together. I'm going to sew along these points. This is what it looks like after sewing. I'll flip this to the right side and I'll take all the pieces together, fold them in half and notch the center. Afterwards, I'll marshmallow the 3 pieces together and sew along the side. Now to attach the collar to the dress, I'm going to place the 2 front necklines to each ends of the collar, and the back neckline I'm going to place at the center of the collar, and I'm just going to eyeball where the center is. To close the collar, I'll fold this edge over like so and go ahead and stitch it down. And that's it. Your dress should come out looking like this. This was how I went to church and I felt so good. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Don't forget to also leave me a comment. I'll be there to reply you. Thank you for watching.